the shortcuts because it will never learn anything. You've already learned everything. Well, the things you need to know, you've learned. And you know how to be responsible about learning what else you don't yet know. So I do think that we want us to use the shortcuts ourselves. So this is a completely different kind of session because we're now encouraging shortcuts use nonstop. So let's start by this slide. We have a blogger by the name of Ethan Mollick. He's a Wharton professor who blogs a lot about AI, and he's come up with this term co-creation to describe what he thinks the future of AI is like, AI and humans. So he's got this idea of, on the left, the centaur, which is half human and half horse, right? A centaur has a clear line of division. AI does this part, and then human does this part. So that's one way that co-creation could work, is that, you know, AI does this and then I do that, or vice versa. But Ethan is actually more a fan of the cyborg model, where it's not clear where the AI stops and the human stops, or where the AI starts and the human starts, right? So it's just kind of back and forth. And in practice, what that looks like is all the various things you think about with the writing process. So what is one category of things in the writing process? What's one thing we do in the writing process? Draft. That's the last thing I do, however. Brainstorm. Yeah, brainstorm for sure. So brainstorming would be something that Ethan would say we should do in the cyborg model, me and the AI, maybe back and forth. If you remember from this morning, I said that I prefer brainstorming to happen in a certain order. I'm just going to test you. Which one goes first? Humans, yes. Because if the AI goes first, its answer looks so complete that it's hard to come up with something brand new. But we've had someone on our campus also try to call this the sandwich model or the Oreo model, where it's like AI, human, and then AI, or human, AI, and then human. Just a bunch of back and forth. I don't really care what model we use, but the idea being that it's not just AI replacing us, it is AI and us, right? I mentioned this in that first morning session as well. The future of work is not AI. The future of work is not human. The future of work is human plus AI. And so we're gonna do the human plus AI part in the faculty jobs now. So these are the things I'm sort of believing without explaining right from the very beginning. First bullet, that AI can help with a task that is tedious. Okay, that's something I'm gonna look for AI to help me with as soon as I possibly can. I'll actually give you an example while we're right here. Last week, I migrated our listserv from one technology to another. And the only way I can get all the faculty names and the faculty email addresses out was it came in one long email, body of an email, and when I copy-pasted all of that into Excel, it put first name, last name on the first cell, and then the email address in the second cell below it, all one column. So it had names in the even numbered rows and email addresses in the odd numbered rows. And I asked ChatGPT, could you take this file and could you put, I just want the email addresses, that's all I want. And it did it for 56 of the 2,400, and then it quit. So reluctantly, I opened Copilot, because I usually use Copilot last, and asked it the same thing. And Copilot is a Microsoft product, and this was Excel I was working in. It worked. It gave me all 2,400 email addresses and saved me hours of formatting. Okay, so I have another example like that I'll give a little bit later. Help with tasks that take a long time. Why did I even write that? It seems like exactly the same thing as item number 1 now that I'm here looking at it. Tedious and a long time. Human-only outputs. That is not the case of my Excel example, but it can give us better ideas than what we come up with on our own. Now, we had a version of this same slide this morning, but I know not everyone was here this morning. And so I wanted to remind us that these are the things that ChatGPT, or generative AI itself, is good at. Because I'm going to lean into those things. And again, you can't see the coloration, but the ones that are colorized are 1 through 6 are in red, 8 is in red, and 11 is in red. Because 1 through 6 are similar to the ones we talked about previously, that AI is good at stuff that is fairly safe. I want it to outline things or brainstorm things for me. That's all safe. Writing and drafting is in that list. It's not my favorite from AI, especially because it looks like it's taking the place of the human. So we talked about that with students. Let's talk about it now with faculty. How would you like it if your department supervisor wrote your annual evaluation with AI? No one said what usually gets said here, which is like, that would be an improvement. The drafting part, I'm a little queasy about us writing and drafting things, just like I'm queasy about students writing and drafting things with AI. I prefer that it be on the outskirts of the writing process. We talked about brainstorming. I think I might have heard outlining. Drafting could be there, especially if I've got that first page paralysis, the writer's block, right? Then just getting me started, that might work. Writing a conclusion. Or here's one, if English is not your first language, writing it as best you can and then asking AI to improve the writing, to make it sound more like a native speaker of English. Or for that matter, there's different Englishes, right? That you could sound like a British English citizen or an American English speaker. Question?
Related to that summary, if monthly reports were put in the system or weekly, sometimes weekly updates, then AI would have information. It's a matter of pulling it together. I'm talking for the appraisal also, just pulling it together because you would have fed it in.
Yes. Right, we're going to talk about the problem, because we talked about that with students, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more here, that if you're going to have to feed it information so that it can give you an interesting output, you better be certain that you're okay with that, right? Like, the email addresses turn out to be directory, well, we have a law in the United States called FERPA, that directory information, you're allowed to use email addresses. But it went into Copilot anyway, which is safe. Okay, so I'm actually going to, it was not a lie, this is workshop-ish. I'm going to have you talk to people near you for just a couple of minutes. And I want you to imagine what takes a long time in teaching and research and service. The three legs of faculty life, teaching, research, and service. What takes a long time, what is tedious, and where could you maybe get a better output than your own brain can come up with? Maybe the last one's harder to imagine. What takes a long time and what is tedious? That's the task first. Talk about that. Make a little list in your head so that I can hear examples. Grading, marking, yeah. No, it's meant to be. It is meant to be a small group. Small group, yeah. I'll come talk to you since you're not sitting next to somebody. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Research takes the longest to me because research to teach, the research to not just research for research purpose, but research.
You mean like getting up to speed on a topic?
No, topic, right?
Yeah. I've got a tool for you by the time we get to the end.
Okay, that takes a long time. Grading, marking. I really wish there was something to an essay in there. I'm not just but put an essay into it. But I'm trying to.
You know, I have a little bit of a problem with the AI learning. I can sort of understand having AI learn how to grade. That might be one thing. But my personal life, I don't think I wanted to know that.
Okay. Why I asked, I have a niece at the opener medical practice in the States. And she's trying, she's a doctor of physiotherapy, and she's trying to get GPT to know her. Know for her business, for the business professional side. Yeah. So that it can help her with so many things that actually.
Yeah, and so ChatGPT, especially, a lot of people like that about ChatGPT, that it gets to know them, it talks to them like a friend. Right. Many people are using it like a therapist, which is maybe a little dangerous. So that's, for me, that's reliance. Yeah. Okay. Let me do it this way. Let's debrief this way. Raise your hand if you think you've got, you know the answer to what, if we asked 1,000 faculty members, what are they all going to say is the number one answer for tedious and takes a long time? All right, let's talk about grading for just a second. I agree. It's tedious, it takes a long time. It goes faster if we're drinking wine, but we shouldn't do that. But let's do a thought experiment here for just a second. And I have slides on this, but I didn't include it in this presentation. So there's an example from University of West Virginia, something like that, where the students wanted to get her tuition money back because the professor in question had used ChatGPT to write the test questions. The student lost the appeal. They had to pay their tuition. There's a different court case, and I don't know the result of this one, somewhere else in the United States Eastern Seaboard, where the student is suing because the professor in question, who's listed as the instructor of record, died a couple of years ago. And so some staff member is using all of the materials that's in there and either grading it or auto-grading it. Right? So let's actually move from there, from real cases, to a thought experiment. Here's something that takes a long time: coming up with a writing assignment. So I could ask ChatGPT to come up with a writing assignment. I could then give it to the students. Students can use ChatGPT to create the writing assignment. I could use ChatGPT to grade the writing assignment. There's no learning in that cycle right there of me building something with ChatGPT, them answering it with ChatGPT, and me grading it with ChatGPT. It's just an exercise in kind of in futility. So let's just keep that in the back of mind, that it's maybe not fair to students to do that. But let's go in a slightly different direction. AI brings productivity gains, right? You can do things faster, you can do more with AI. Let's pretend someone invents a perfect grading technology that is fair to students, and it saves you time. How long until, I'm not going to use our current example, I'm going to go to the University of Central Florida. How long until the senior administrators of the University of Central Florida say, like, hey, wait a second, you're grading 2,000 students in a matter of seconds. Maybe you should have 4,000 students. Or more dangerously, our chemistry colleague is retiring. Do we need to fill that position going forward, because the grading can be done in an automated fashion? I put to you that maybe you ought to make the line in the sand grading. That's what you do. Even though it's boring and tedious and long and takes all of your attention, it's at least not something that the machines can do well. That having been said, I am going to talk about machine grading in a second. There's a technology called GradeScope. It is attached to Turnitin, I think? No, Grammarly. It's attached to Grammarly. That's not right. I'm giving you the wrong information. GradeScope is definitely the one I'm thinking of. So there are various technologies that claim that we can do automated essay grading. This one is not so much for essays as it is a discipline like physics or math, where there is a right answer, and what you do is you're looking at the steps the students take, and you're evaluating, oh, you messed up here. That's worth -2 points. Right? So imagine that you have 1,000 students' assignments, tests submitted that way, and you open this GradeScope technology and you grade the first question and you say, you missed 2 points because this step right here would have been the correct way to do it. And then you grade 5 more, and then by now you've built up a little library of the various ways you can mess up on question number 1. And then you push the button and it grades the rest of the 900 question number 1s, because you've trained it on how to grade question number 1 only. Then you do it with question number 2. So we might see some gains like that with AI coming forward. There's still a human in the loop. That's an important element of this, the principle. The human has to be in the loop. So I asked ChatGPT things that, how could you help us when it comes to teaching tasks? So I'm going to talk about research separately. Answering student questions, yes. I'm seeing a lot of apps in this space already, that apps that can know what's inside your Canvas? You have Canvas here? Moodle. Know what's inside your Moodle course because it sees all of it, and then the students can ask it questions. And it gets treated a little bit like a teaching assistant, right? Because it knows everything that's in your Moodle course. Grading assistance is highlighted in red. You can't see it because I don't think taking over grading is what we want to do, like I just finished saying. Developing lecture material. Yeah, what do you think about developing lecture material? Helping you, do you ever, I mean, I don't know, maybe you're not like me, but every so often I have to teach something, I'm like, yeah, okay, I need to catch up here, because I'm only barely ahead of the students on this particular topic. You're not going to admit it, I know. But AI can help you with that. Just, you need the same caveats we were giving the students. You need that amount of distrust, that grain of salt, to know whether you trust whether this is actually correct or not. Because that would be a real big egg on face problem if you taught them the wrong things because of AI. Number 4 is one I believe in a lot, creating practice problems. I mentioned this with the first talk with Chegg, but creating practice as well. Unlimited quiz questions for students. If you're in a discipline that allows for that, there should be no shortage of quiz questions. Case studies, yeah, we don't have case studies in here, but writing case studies or study guides. Oops, I didn't want to do that yet. And 11, translations for non-native speakers. What I mean by that one is you wrote this in your language, now you can provide it in some other language for the students as well. Because ChatGPT especially is pretty good at translating languages. So I don't know how much Spanish speaking goes on this island, but it happens in the United States. In Florida, if we provide something in English, it's actually a best practice to think about providing it in Spanish as well, just because there are lots of students who are bilingual. So I had this slide earlier, and what we talked about here was that anything you put into ChatGPT, Gemini, Meta, Claude, it gets uploaded to the model. It trains the model. So that was that question that came in, a minute or so ago. What happens if we upload things that we don't want ChatGPT to know? So even though earlier I was talking about this with the students being told not to use those other models, now we need to be careful about what we're uploading because of copyright reasons and because it just trains the model. So I've got a couple of slides here about ethics before we get into the more specifics. There's that example I gave of a lawyer in Orlando who used ChatGPT to write something for the court case, and the judge said, these are fake court cases that you just submitted. And the judge had the audacity to say, well, it's ChatGPT's fault. So just like you wouldn't accept that from a student, the judge does not accept that from the lawyer, right? You're responsible, even though ChatGPT was the one who messed up. Now, I'm going to be talking about research in a few minutes as well. And if you're using ChatGPT and other things to help you for something that you're attempting to publish as research, and it hallucinates something, you are responsible, right? So I think we need to have that weight of responsibility on our shoulders that this looks like it's all fun and games to get a ChatGPT version of my essay, which was too long before, but you got to be extra careful here. Oh, we talked about this one a little bit. We talked about performance appraisals. We did not talk about letters of recommendation. Your students ask for letters of recommendation ever? It'd be very tempting to upload a student's CV and say, this student took my class, and then write a letter of recommendation for them, except the letter of recommendation would be about the CV, which I don't know anything about. They weren't in my class. The only way to get a letter of recommendation to sound like I would actually write it is to tell ChatGPT or Copilot, here are the grades they got, and here are the comments that I put on their essays while they were in the class. It can do it, but if you're not using Copilot, the safe one, then you've just violated all sorts of trust about this student. Privacy, right. That said, you can use letter of recommendation to soften the tone. You ever hear people say that they use ChatGPT to look at their email before they click send? Because you were angry when you first wrote the email, or short-tempered, or yeah. So it can do the same thing for a letter of recommendation. You could ask it for an opinion about the letter you actually wrote. You know, is this too bland? Is this going to get the student the job? If not, you know, whatever else. So unfortunately, everything I've just said is adding work to what you do instead of just writing the letter of recommendation out loud. But it does make for a better output than human alone. That's that third bullet I was talking about. Increasingly, journal articles, granting agencies, pretty much everything that we care about with research and writing textbook materials, those sorts of things, are coming out with AI policies about not, you know, at least disclose what it was you used it for. So I think I haven't seen a court case on this yet, no, it's not court, a news story, about someone getting fired for not disclosing AI use in the higher education. It'll happen. Eventually it'll happen. I have not seen it yet, but I think this is a point of real danger if we don't disclose that we used AI. You will, if you were paying close attention, you saw slide number 1 of both presentations said the images are generated in Copilot. That was me disclosing. And what it means is that the rest of this was not built with Copilot's help unless I said I used Copilot for this, or Copilot or ChatGPT for that help. Okay, so we've gone through the teaching side of things. There's probably more to say, and I'm gonna kind of go a little fast through the formal part so we can talk more just with question and answer period. But I'm gonna give you those same couple of minutes to talk about research. And by research, I do mean the things you would try to publish on. I do mean trying to get grants. I do mean things like being a reviewer for a journal. And I do mean even the lowercase r version of research, learning new things so that you can stay in front of your students. So talk about all of those for a second. How would you and how would you not use AI in your research efforts? Shoot, I said service also. Okay, service also. So attending meetings, how could you use AI? To brainstorm with you again. Are you thinking research or service?
Service, minutes. Perfect with taking minutes. Meeting minutes, yes.
It's actually really brilliant.
Yes, and what I like about it, you can also, if you set a date for a follow-up, you can tell the date so you can publish it to your calendar. When you publish it, so that's what that's a nice way. And that's what service. And for research, you can give beautiful, Gemini will give you background information as to what is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. So you don't have to go and dig up so much for your research, right? You know, especially when you're doing a literature. It gives you the background information so you can know where the gaps are, so you can tailor-made your research as to where exactly you want to go. That's it.
Gemini, as long as you trust it. So Gemini, you're a Gemini user?
I don't know. But I like, but you know, certain, if it's something that what you can address it, let me know.
Yeah. Very good. I'll try to remember that one. Okay, let's exclude service for a minute. Let's just talk about research. No, other way around. Let's do service only first, service only. So what could you use AI to help you with service? Minutes, so minutes from like a meeting agenda, right? So let's talk about this. Have any of you used or seen AI created meeting minutes? What do you think? Good or not good? It misses nuance sometimes. Yeah. So I will say that, like on the surface level of things, AI for minutes for note taking is actually not bad. It belongs in that list of things that it's reasonably good at. It misses nuance sometimes, but one of the things it does do, if it's like paying close attention, is it knows who was speaking and who has the to-do items at the end of all of this. So talk about getting rid of drudgery work, right? A tedious, long task. Meeting minutes sounds like one that meets it. So there are automated AI apps that do this. Otter.ai, Read.ai, and Fireflies, Zoom AI Companion. I'm going to tell you a little story, though. It was when those tools were brand new, and most administrators didn't know what these tools were, because why would you know what Otter.ai is? Like, yeah. So, and plus it was the whole college. It was the College of Nursing. I didn't tell you that. Just a college on my campus was having a college-wide faculty meeting with the dean. And somebody had the output from Otter AI there and sent it around, and it made its way eventually to the dean, who used words I'm not going to repeat here, was very upset because, in her opinion, the college-wide meeting was meant to be a protected place where people could say things that were not being captured and held against them later on. And so there's this other side to these transcription tools that we need to think about, right? That people might not want to speak their truth if the recording is being turned on. Just like right now, I'm not speaking my whole truth with the recording turned on. Not true. You have permission to record. So, okay, that was one. What else did I hear for service? Meeting minutes. I consider it service to be on like a dissertation committee, right? That's not really research for me. And so are there things I could use AI for there? Possibly getting up to speed, because sometimes I'm asked to join a committee that I don't really know quite everything that's going on in this dissertation. I'm old enough that I will actually still read the whole dissertation before going in there rather than getting a summary. Plus, I don't like the idea of uploading it somewhere, and that's copyrighted material that I'm putting somewhere else. So it would be good at summarizing that. If I wanted to show off and flex, like I knew what I was talking about at that meeting, I might do that, but I'm okay. They understand I'm an outside person. How about research? So what did you say is a good use of AI for research? Brainstorming again. So you're thinking about writing, coming up with a topic to publish about, okay? Searching for other what? Oh, for articles. Yes, I'm going to show you a couple of tools searching for articles. One of them is going to change your life if you don't already use it. Research Rabbit is the one I was thinking of, yeah. So. Elicit is also in my list, yeah. Okay, we'll talk about both of those when we get there. Okay, so you're not a completely new audience to the AI research tool. At least some of you are not. We'll talk about those. Yes, so what you didn't say was use AI to write a review of this article that I'm the journal reviewer for. You didn't say that. Because it seems to not pass the smell test, like there's other things we were talking about. And I guess I never really said this either just now or this morning. When it affects another human being's future, that's when I don't want AI to be autonomous. So you can tell how I feel about autonomous AI shooting missiles out of drones. Like that's not okay for me, because that's, you know, another human being's future where there's no human in the loop, well, let alone killing somebody with a drone in the first place. But, you know, the letter of recommendation, human's future. The supervisor writing your annual evaluation, human's future. Does this article get accepted for publication? humans' future. So I want a human in the loop for all of those things that impact other human beings.
On that point, I also don't think it's difficult to put somebody's unpublished work in an AI.
In an AI tool. If you believe Microsoft Copilot is safe, if you're logged in the right way, but it might not be. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yes? Right, so de-identified data especially. So I have much more understanding for de-identified data. Because de-identified data will, it's not endangering those human beings necessarily. And the way you ask that question, qualitative, I especially think is safer to use AI for than quantitative. So I'm not sure if you've all noticed this, but quantitative analysis, AI, I think this is where it does the most hallucinations, is in calculations. Whereas, remember that chart I had of things that AI is good at? Finding patterns was on that chart. So if you've got qualitative data that you want to have categorized into, occurrences, and in fact, we used to have old tools that just looks for the word, outstanding or something. But now these tools can take words like superior and excelsior and say those are all the same thing as outstanding without you having to do 10 different searches. It does in fact save you time. That's a good one. Okay, let me move on to a couple of short examples. So grant funding or funding applications. So the small font, and you're going to get this later on, but the wisdom of this is asking AI to look at the call. To look at last year's grant applications, the one that got funded. Look at the ones that got funded and now compare it to mine, let's say. It runs the risk, if you're doing that in public, that it will then become part of the training model. Right, on our campus, Copilot is safe. I can't remember if yours is the same. Yeah, okay, the protected Copilot. Or just starting out your proposal. So you get a call for proposals, asking AI to go look at the call for proposals, and then you're down to that brainstorming that you were talking about. What would be a good match for this? So I think I have one on rubrics, so refining, yeah. So asking the AI to evaluate whether you're clear, that's the bottom bullet, whether you've got the right kinds of engagement, whether you're being diverse and inclusive in the proposal. Right? These are all things that you could ask it to evaluate for something you've already written. We have visitors coming to sing in a few minutes, don't we?
No, we are the ones singing.
Oh, we're the ones singing, okay, yeah. I didn't know if we had a visitor coming that I needed to stop on time, yeah. Okay. I have to admit a little trepidation with the singing part happening at the end of the day. The microphone will not be in my hand at that moment, yeah. Your biography. So if you get asked to show a short biography of yourself for some context, if you're going to a conference, I got asked to show a biography of myself for this as well. So I didn't ask AI to do it, but that would have been something you could have done. Show it your CV. And in my case, my CV lives on a public-facing website, so there's no problem saying, go to this URL, and then write a 200-word bio for this person. And you want to give it more, all know about prompt engineering, you want to give it more information than just a 200-person bio, right? Like I've been asked to talk about AI with, of all things, child nutrition directors, like more than once, literally, because I get seen by one of them at a conference and the other ones ask me. And I have no clue what my biography should look like for child nutrition directors, because it's not my educational background, but AI can help. So summaries and abstracts. A very common use of AI is to, after you've finished writing the thing, before you submit it, you're supposed to submit an abstract as well. The very common use, as long as you trust that the AI is trustworthy, that it's not going to train the model. Feedback on professional materials, it's hard to see at the top, but it's talking about a teaching philosophy statement. So if you have a teaching philosophy statement because you're looking to get hired at UE, no, I didn't say that, I'm sorry. Or a research philosophy statement and you would like some impartial voice to read it and decide if you are hitting all the right notes, ask it for suggestions. So basically it boils down to a lot of things that we do with regard to writing in research are ways that we could turn to AI and say, help me with this, help in the brainstorm process, or help in the refining process. Recommendation letters are in here because ChatGPT created this list, not because I'm the biggest fan of those. And as we've talked about, there are downsides to using these models, especially the public ones, for grant proposals and abstract submissions. But then I asked it for writing tasks in general. So not necessarily associated with research, just things you might do as a university professor that involves writing. I said, give me a list of those things where AI could help. And I didn't change the order of them. So meeting minutes came up top. That made perfect sense to me. Event invitation letters, I don't know what ChatGPT is smoking here. I don't know any faculty members who send event invitation letters. Email responses to common inquiries, yes, absolutely, yeah. I've even seen somebody jury rig an automatic reply system out of their Outlook where if it contains these questions or these words, then here's the answer that they're already going to get based on, you know, an AI output. Newsletter content, press releases, these are not faculty, don't do those. Job descriptions, yeah, sometimes. Workshop agendas, to the extent you give workshops. We didn't really dwell on this when we were talking about teaching, but it's actually surprisingly good with lesson plans. And it's actually particularly good. It'll do it, even if you don't tell it, I want an interactive lesson plan, it'll suggest to you that you should stop every 10 or 15 minutes and do something interactive, and here's a good activity to do it with. So I'm actually really impressed as a faculty developer that it knows that much about teaching, and it's got good ideas. Office memos. Faculty aren't writing facilities maintenance reports? No. All right, so really this is more what matters. For all of your processes that involve writing, it took me a while to get there. For whenever I'm about to sit down to write something, ask yourself, can AI help with this? Can it help me brainstorm? Can it help with my tone? Can it take over and write a first draft? If it's something innocuous, I might let it write a first draft. I usually change it around, but you need to start asking yourself, we should start asking ourselves, can AI assist? I left this in here not knowing if you have access to Adobe Firefly, also called Adobe Express. And the off chance that you do, because otherwise you'd have to pay for it, this is an AI image creation tool where you can ask it to create a cartoon kangaroo with big eyes who looks happy. And then you download it, then you go to the exact same program, and then you upload that same image saying, this is my reference image. Now create a cartoon kangaroo with big eyes, looking happy, who is being a doctor to a turtle. And it gives you the same kangaroo doing a different activity. Do you see that? You just change the prompt a little bit because you gave it a reference image. So Firefly is good at this. I don't think ChatGPT is nearly as good. It sort of creates the artistry brand new each time. But if you have access to this tool, it is like an in-house artist to write custom illustrations for every PowerPoint presentation you do. It would be like the same artist doing all of it. All right, here's Research Rabbit. I'm tempted to give you the microphone to tell us how you use it, but the short version of this is you're researching something new, something you're not currently an expert in. You start, it's not even on screen. You start by saying, tell me about Drosophila fruit flies mating rituals. And then it comes up with 35 articles, and you click on 5 promising articles. That's now your library. Then your library is still not visible. You can, from your library, you can click on similar work. There's 1,000 things like the 12 you just clicked on. And then you could ask it to show that similar work in this network format. And this is the magic, at least as I use it, I'll ask you in a sec, this is the magic of Research Rabbit. The items that everybody quotes are really big bubbles, and they've got lots of lines because everyone's quoting them. The items that nobody quotes are off to the side, and they're highlighted because those are the ones that I selected. So I did a bad job of choosing important articles about fruit fly mating habits, or whatever it was I was looking for here. But this, like, I can click on one of these and it tells me more information about what it is. and who's quoting who and how many citations. This is the way I know for sure that I'm not forgetting the one author that everyone quotes when talking about this topic. Because that's what I live in fear of, in the years before AI, that you submit it to a journal and the angry reviewer, who is probably the author of that article, says, you forgot this important one right here. So this prevents that. All right, what did I miss? How else do you use Research Rabbit?
Oh, the best thing ever, it connects with Zotero.
It connects with the theory, is that what you said? Oh, Zotero, the citation tracking. I'll have you know that when I started graduate school, there was a card catalog in my library. So my dissertation was written without Zotero or any citation management. You can build a library, and Zotero help you keep track of it. Right. Look, I think after all this is done, I need to share stories about people who lost their dissertation because it was only in one floppy disk. Dr. Ivy knows what I'm talking about, and we lived through this. Elicit was the one you mentioned. So Elicit does two things. So let me say the two things Elicit does. So first of all, Elicit helps you find the articles, and it gives you the abstract. The abstract is great. People have published abstracts. They write it themselves. But you know what? Ain't nobody got time to read 4 sentences. So it takes the abstract and turns it into 1 sentence for you. So I say that half in jest, though, because really? Like, we can't be trusted to read an abstract? Now we're just down to 1-sentence summaries of what's happening in this one? But the other thing that Elicit does that's really nice is, remember how earlier when I said for qualitative analysis, the word outstanding? It used to be you'd have to find the exact word outstanding. So the same thing when it comes to finding keywords. Like if I was looking for the keyword fruit fly, and the person who created the article and created the keywords didn't put fruit fly, but the AI knows that it talks about fruit flies, it'll still show up in those results. So it's better than keyword search, basically, is what that is. Yeah?
There's some abstracts that are not good, some with other people. They just say, we will talk about. Does this actually summarize the whole article in a sentence, or it's just summarizing the abstract?
And I was probably a little harsh on it. Yeah, you're a defender, so what else would you add?
No, it's a summary of the abstract, not right. But what I love most about Elicit AI is that, so this is one feature. The other is that, let's say I am looking at emotional intelligence, for example, and I just put in a prompt that I want about 50 or 100 articles that were written in the last 5 years on this. And within 2 or so minutes, I get a 10-page report to my email with all the critical papers that have been written and summaries of the actual articles and not just the abstract. I find that to be very effective, and from there on, I can select the ones I want. I can do it clicks, so I know it's not hallucinating and it's not making up, because it gives me the link to the article.
So the ones that you really want to read, it's easy and convenient to go read them. Yeah. So the obvious use case here is when you're trying to start to write something to publish about it, a slightly new area for you. But even more than that, those of you in disciplines that continues advancing year after year. By the way, that doesn't happen in German literature. Like, we don't need to stay current on anything in German literature. But those of you in medicine or in various STEM fields, there's a lot you need to read to stay current on this stuff. So Research Rabbit and Elicit are the 2 tools I recommend people use to stay current in your discipline. Both of them are free, have free versions anyway. I actually don't know what the paid versions of them do.
No, the paid version just gives you greater levels in terms of the magnitude that you get from it.
Oh, you do more, okay. And then there's Notebook LM. Anyone know Notebook LM? It's a product from Gmail, from Google. What it does is it takes one PDF, or it takes 50 of them, or it takes a YouTube link, and it gives you a summary, it gives you an FAQ, it gives you a quiz with answers. and a podcast. Most people seem to care about the podcast. So there are AI voices, a male voice, a female voice, talking back and forth like radio disc jockeys and discussing the article as though they had just read the whole 400-page book or whatever. This is a 4-hour YouTube, and it turned it into a 15-minute podcast. So here's the thing. It works fine. It doesn't hallucinate as far as I can tell, but it does miss a lot of the important stuff. It is summarizing 4 hours into 15 minutes, and literally half of those 15 minutes are like, "Oh, you are so right." You know, they're just going back and forth like they're real human beings. So I have real problems relying heavily on Notebook LM. Go ahead.
Yes, another weakness with it too is that it loses, for our context, it's not good at picking up the our Caribbean culture context.
Oh, the Caribbean culture, yeah.
Very weak with that. However, they have upgraded it, and now Notebook LM does videos.
It does video. It also, there's something about you can pause it or ask questions or something like that it added recently. I have not tried that. I need to learn that one. All right, so I'm very close to the end. I think I'm at the end. This is yet another book of lists of ways that you could sort of use AI in your day job. So some of the things we've talked about are already in this list, already in this book. This is just to give you a few more ideas. Without doing all of the book in the presentation, I figured you could just go read through the book when you want to. If I'm not mistaken, the only other slide left is the one that lets you download all of the slides, I think. I'm going to get rid of this microphone before the singing starts, but let me. Some of you are still getting the QR code here. What does it say at the very end of the program? Something about word of. I don't remember what it was. I didn't know what it was. It's like a dismissal euphemism or something. I'll find it in a minute. Oh no, I was wrong. I'm not actually going to talk about this. This is just if you were interested in an institution level dive into, how do we guide faculty and student use of AI, then having a set of guiding principles, these are ours, would be useful for you. So I'm not sure if anyone's working on institutional level response to AI, but I would recommend having some kind of guiding principles in place. And I sort of said that already. All right, so there's that slide to download today's slides if that's what you're interested in. I think rather than take direct questions right now, we're sort of over time, right? Or do you want me to take questions?
Do we have questions?
Do we have questions? Clear as mud, right? Yes. Okay, well, I'm going to get rid of this microphone as quickly as I can. Thank you for the attention.
All right, thank you, Dr. Yee. And at this time, I'll just invite Dr. Bury Ricketts to make a presentation to you.
Is there something coming on screen?
No.
Okay. I'll just leave it like that.
Okay, I didn't want to read something.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Good afternoon, Dr. Yee. On behalf of the UTASU Conference Planning Committee and the executive, we want to extend a big thank you for coming to Jamaica to do this presentation. I'm sure, so you spoke about the benefits of artificial intelligence as well as the pitfalls of artificial intelligence, not just for students, but also for faculty. So you presented a balanced argument, and you also tell us how we can use these tools in our classes. For me, I went and I searched for myself in Gemini Artificial Intelligence, and I say, who is Simone Bury Ricketts? The information was accurate, taken from UTEC's website. Now I also asked who is Kadeen Brown, my sister, and AI referred to my sister as a male. And of course, she's married to another man, to a man. So, and I sent it to her. I also researched my husband. His information was totally false. So I see how we can incorporate this in our classroom to show students where information can be accurate, it can be partially accurate, and completely inaccurate. So again, I want to say thank you. And I'm sure we're going to be incorporating these strategies in our classroom.
It's a heavy. Yeah. It's a balanced basket.
Yes, no problem. You are welcome. All right, and as we get ready to wrap up our two-day conference, I invite Dr. Nola Hilberry, member of the conference planning committee, to give the vote of thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, first we want to say thank God for taking us to the end of this conference, because we are tired. And so we give God thanks. Anyway, you all don't know that I do acting, but that wasn't acting. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all. And we have indeed come to the end of another festival of ideas. So it's time to bring the curtains down, and you will agree with me that we have feasted and we have fested. Is there such a word? No, the Jamaican for it. Oh, you learned something. All right. And we have feasted not just on the networking and, on the literal food that was prepared, but on some good information. So you'll agree with me that today was really information rich, inspiring, thought-provoking, and empowering. And so it gives me great privilege to say a warm word of thanks to those who have made this research conference a memorable one. So, to our guest speaker, Dr. Kevin Yee, thank you for inspiring us and challenging us through your stirring presentations on the opportunities and challenges that will present as we continue to teach in this AI era. To all our presenters, for taking time to share your presentations with us and allowing us not just to take a peek, but to actually, you shared some good insights, and you also allowed us to share with you how you can enrich your studies. To our other guest speakers, they may not have been with us today, but they have been with us since yesterday, Dr. Ivy, Professor Barrett, and the others. To all our caterers, so we are indeed grateful for you, not just to acknowledge that empty barrel cannot turn up, but to ensure that you kept the barrels filled throughout the day. So for the caterers, thank you very much. To our volunteers, we thank you for serving us graciously in the various areas. to our ancillary team for ensuring that the place was well kept for us throughout the entire event, to all our sponsors, H&L Ultimate Touch, ACCA, Caribbean Dreams, VM Group, Ryan Studios, KGB Decor, Jamrock, Hamid Architectural Construction, and all the others. If you have sponsored the event, I have not forgotten you. Thank you. And just in case I missed anyone, any organization, any group, anybody else, including Mr. Williams and the other team members of the, the tech team, and anybody else that wasn't mentioned, thank you, Noto. Last but not least, thanks to the hardworking conference planning team, we thank us for the ideation and for taking it through to realization. I now have one challenge for everyone. And so if you truly enjoyed the conference, if your cups have been filled, and you are ready to engage more meaningfully in research, if this conference was an enriching one for you, then you have two actions. The first one, start planning now for next year's conference. And the second one is to ensure that you groom and take someone with you at the next conference. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it was my pleasure interacting with you throughout this memorable event. And it is my pleasure to say thanks on behalf of the entire team. And now I must wish you safe travels. So until next time, friends, take care and walk good.
All right. Don't go down. I'm just going to invite all the members of the conference planning team just to come to the front quickly, yes, and take a bow. Dr. Allen, some of the other conference planning team, they are still busy working, so we don't have them here, but just want to say thank you. We appreciate you. In our inaugural, please come, right, in our inaugural conference, the planning committee was just the union executive. We decided we wanted a change because we're in the business of developing, mentoring, and coaching, and as a result, we try to get at least one person from each faculty, all right? Though this is not the full team, just want to say thank you. There are a lot of learning, and there's still much to unpack, and we will debrief. Others of you sitting here, this will not be the team for next year's conference. I'll tell you just here, right? So we're going to take a next set of individuals because we are in the business of training and developing, and we want you all to get that experience. So when we call on you, please do not say no. Service is critical, and come join force with us as we seek to increase or research visibility or profile as academics. So thank you all for coming. We really appreciate you. And at this time, I just invite you all to stand as we get ready for the UTEX song. Stay right here.
With art, science, and technology.
take care. Thank you all again for coming and staying the course with us. See you next year in 2026.
Well done, well done, well done.